Sorry, everybody. I was a little off guard there. So, my name is Tina Holland, and welcome to First Friday Lunch. I was originally going to talk about marketing this month, but I don't have all the data. I want to talk about the courtesan of Constantinople and how the marketing went on that. I've just got November's numbers, which were surprisingly low from what I had anticipated them being. So I'm kind of going to wait until December's numbers. So we will go ahead, and most of the distributors will have gotten back to my publisher by then. So I think for March, we will actually talk about March marketing. As you notice, I did not put out an invitation for this one, so I would be very surprised if any of you are going to watch it live. Most of you will probably watch it later. But what I had planned on, I normally put out an invitation on Facebook on, hold on just a second here. Just a minute. My dog is wearing a collar, and so it makes a lot of noise. And so I just wanted to take that off him while he's like going around the background and stuff here. So I think, yeah, I'll talk about marketing in March. And so that'll be our topic then. And I will have more numbers, and I'll talk about what I did for the courtesan of Constantinople. And we can talk about any marketing questions you guys might have, and we can get that out there prior to the going live stream. But what I want to talk to you about today is when life throws you a curveball. And I did have a curveball. It's a small one and one I'm happy to take care of. But basically, my daughter had a baby last year, and she's going back to work, and she didn't have daycare. And so she called me and asked, Mom, can you come down? And she lives in the Twin Cities. And so she asked, can you come down and help me take care of the baby? And I said, until I get daycare. And I said, oh yeah, sure, I can do that. So, because I'm not normally busy, my husband's like, bring your laptop, you can write while you're down there. If any of you are new mothers or new grandparents or take care of children, that's just not possible. So I was like, I usually get up really early down there about 6:30, and I'll have coffee, and then I will maybe get between 7 and 9. I will get some writing done before he kind of really wakes up for the day. And then I'm, that's pretty much done. I've been making a lot of my meetings and my meetings and with like my writing groups and stuff like that. That's gone pretty well, but it's been, it was totally a curveball. I don't know if you guys remember, I will do a link to the goals video below. But I had planned on trying to finish Wind Resistant, which is going to be the second in my Brave the Elements series, second book. And I didn't get it done. I'm still working on it. And so I think that when we're going to talk about a couple things, like when life throws you a curveball, what do you do? So I'll tell you some of the things I do usually when, like, this happened when my mother died in December. It happened now when I'm going down to the cities every week. I'm basically down there Monday through Thursday. I have Fridays off. As you can see, I'm in my home office. And so usually I will, the first thing I always do is like, I reevaluate what's important to me. Is it important to me to, is family more important? And most times family is more important than anything else for me. It's kind of how I want to spend time with my husband, my children, my grandchildren, my parents. And so when things come up, I go ahead and I'll reevaluate that. And even like when I had a job, as an example, in 2008, my husband was deployed to Iraq. And I remember I went to my employer and I said, I'm going to need 30 days off. I'm going to take 30 days off prior to his deployment because I wanted to spend the month with him before he was deployed. And even if I had to quit my job, I was willing to quit and then look for another job while he was deployed, because I knew while he was over there, he'd be making money. So the money part wasn't really an issue. But I was like, it was important to me to spend time with him before he was deployed in case anything were to have happened to him, because I would have felt horribly guilty if I had worked that extra hour at work or, put in time on a weekend or something like that and hadn't spent it with him and something had happened. So I think you have to reevaluate what's important to you when you have a life event come up. When my mom died, obviously I had to take care of things related to my mom because my dad, he was in grief. And so there wasn't a lot that he could do that wasn't hard on him, and she had been in a nursing facility for years. So I think when you have a life event, you just have to reevaluate what's important to you. And it was important for me to spend time with my grandchild. And so I thought, yep, I can do this for you because I can't do a lot of other stuff. So I get to bond with him, and it's nice. So, and I won't be doing it forever. I'll just be doing it, I think, actually just this next week, and then we're done. For unless something happens with the daycare situation that they've lined up. So as a person, not as an author, as a person, you just need to evaluate what's important to you. What is most important to get done. I'm still on track. We're only in month 2 of 2021, and I'm still on track to get all my other goals done, but I've delayed one book is going to be delayed. So that's the first thing. You just need to reevaluate what's important in your life, what's important to you as a person, and then proceed from there. And once you do that, the next question you have to ask is, what can you realistically get accomplished? So looking at my schedule, and I actually thought I was going to end up doing this until May originally. And so I realistically looked at my schedule and I said, well, what can I get done? And so I thought, okay, what I really do need to get done is I need to get this Regency layered before I go ahead and pitch it. And I am actually going to pitch it at Sweetheart Pitch Fest this next week. And so I said, what can I realistically get done? I'm like, okay, I need to get this book edited, layered, ready to pitch. So, and that's realistic. It's not writing, which takes, I don't want to say it takes up more bandwidth in your brain, but it's just different. It's easier for me to edit something, to put things in, to take things out, to make a sentence cleaner than it is sometimes to get the book down on the page. I do draft faster than I used to, but I would love to draft even faster. But that still requires, for me, it requires more processing. So I only write 10 words a minute, or 10 words. Yeah, 10 words a minute, 10 words a minute creatively. But I can edit much faster than that. I think I edit like a chapter in 10 minutes. So it's like reversed, right? And it's like 10 words a minute or one chapter in 10 minutes. So, and that's just like a quick overview of it. Like when you go into deep editing and layering and you look like, what can I add to this scene? Can I add more setting? Can I add more layers? Can I make it clearer? Can I put in something, so when you do that, it takes a little more, but it's not the creative part of your brain working. It's looking to see, how does this work? Is it working? So it's a different part. And for me, that's faster. That isn't for everybody. For some people, the editing is harder than the writing. So I think you just have to, what can you realistically get accomplished now that you've hit this roadblock of whatever it is? And I mean, it could be like, for me, it's going to help my daughter take care of her child. And then for other people, it might be, death in the family. That was me in December. It might be a move. It might be, divorce, a breakup, might be happy things too. I mean, like I said, it might be moving. It might be, I'm taking a vacation. I want a vacation, something exciting like that. So I think that you need to just look and say, okay, what's important to me as a person? What do I need to get accomplished as a creator? Do I need to get so many books out, whatever? And then where are you on track? So, I mean, it sort of gives you an opportunity to check in with your goals, but I don't think that it gives you, for me, I don't think that it gives you you don't have to abandon everything. Once you've had an event you don't have to abandon what you had planned. You might have to shift it, but you don't have to abandon it altogether. So, and much like simply because I was doing this babysitting during the week, I didn't get the schedule out. I didn't get the, questions out. I changed the topic because A, I didn't have enough information, and B, I was sort of like, I didn't really know what I was going to talk about and I thought, this is the perfect time to talk about this because I have had kind of back-to-back events that have affected my writing schedule. Because normally I write Monday through Friday, usually in the mornings for a couple hours. And then evenings if I have write-ins and stuff like that. And I have still gone to meetings, but I haven't actually done write-ins because part of the schedule of working with a baby is that he goes to bed pretty early. And so sometimes I think, I'm going to stay up and I'll get writing done then. I did when my own children were at home, and I noticed my daughter does that. Like she'll lay down with him for a little bit and then she'll get up and she'll do a bunch of stuff. And I used to do that too. When my kids were little, I would write after they'd gone to bed or when they were doing their homework as they got older. So that schedule wise was always kind of an evening thing. But now I'm like, I need to sleep, right? I need to just, and maybe it's because I'm in a different space. I need more sleep as I've gotten older. I need more sleep, and I need to just unwind a little bit more too. So I found that I could go to meetings, but I really wasn't in creative headspace. And even in the mornings when I'm doing 2 hours of work, it's really just work. It's responding to emails. It's, going over, taking notes for stuff. But it's not this hardcore creative process, it's editing, it's doing things like that. So it's a different kind of headspace, but it works, so I just know, okay, I have another week of this, and then I can go back to my regular scheduled program. And much like this channel, we'll just have something where it's a little different than it had been before. So I think those are some things that you can look at as a writer when a roadblock comes up, and how do you adjust around it? It's not that difficult. So I think you just need to get into, what's important to you, what can you get accomplished, and those sorts of things. I didn't really have a lot to talk about, really, because this was sort of a sudden, it wasn't last minute. I knew I had this broadcast planned, but I'm on a little later than I normally am. And so I think I just didn't plan much beyond my little talking points. But that being said, I would love for you guys to put some comments below and let me know how you guys deal with stresses that hit your life. I think too, when you have stresses, I've talked about this before too. I do more journaling. I've been doing that the whole time. I do my morning pages because it just helps. It helps get rid of emotional bandwidth that's taking up headspace in where you need to be creative. So, and I do that whether I'm at home, traveling, or in this case, I'm staying with my daughter down in the cities. So I think that you need to kind of figure out what's going to work for you, what's important to you, and then how to deal with the situation at hand. Like when my mother passed, I needed to take a step back creatively in a lot of ways, because it was hard. It wasn't harder, but my brain kept wandering over to whatever. And because of the pandemic and her funeral, and well, not even a funeral. We didn't even have a funeral. There is sort of this, I was talking to my sister last night, there is sort of this sense that she's not really gone, because she passed too. My mom was upwards of 200 pounds, and she weighed 127 when she died. And so looking, when we did the body viewing or whatever, it didn't even look like my mother. And so my sister and I were talking about that, and it's still like she's not really gone. Like part of me is like, oh, she's going to be coming home from the nursing home that week. And I know at some point that's just going to hit me full force, that it's going to be, real finally, because once the pandemic happened, her nursing facility got shut down, and I hadn't seen her since March of last year. And the woman that we had in this casket looked nothing like my mother. And so part of me is like, well, they mixed it up, and it sounds almost naive and childish, but it still just hasn't hit me. And I know my sister and I were talking, at some point we're both going to be like, this is, she's really gone. And I don't know, I don't know if that'll be when my dad passes, like then we'll be like, okay, they're both gone, or, not that my dad's, in danger of passing. He has to make some life choices. I don't know that he's got super long time to be with us, but unless he makes some drastic changes, because he's almost heading down the similar path that she was. And I think that it's only a matter of time before he goes as well. I also think to some extent they were kind of soulmates, and so it's harder for him to go on without her. So I think that maybe when he goes, I'll have to process both of them maybe together. Maybe that's what I'll do. And that'll be really, really hard. And I think that that's something that I know is coming. So that makes it a little easier. And I do journal a lot about my mother's passing, about, how my dad is doing and stuff like that. So, and I journaled about, taking care of my grandson. So I think that you need to figure out ways to process change, whatever that change is good, bad, or ugly, how to process it. And for me, that's journaling. For other people, it might be writing, because to some extent I do write about stuff. I decide to change storylines based on, my experiences and what I can add to the story versus, you know, another medium. But I also will do scrapbooking. I will do poetry, not very often, but journaling is my big outlet for getting rid of a lot of my emotions. So I think that that'll be something that I'll have to process later. So with my mom's death or whatever, because it still hasn't. I would have expected it to be like, I thought November-ish, December. I thought when we had the viewing and the memorial service that would do it, and it still hasn't. It still hasn't done it for me. So I'm not sure when I'll get closure on that. It could be a while. It could be, because it doesn't feel real. And a lot of stuff from 2020 feels very surreal. And I think too, even the pandemic to some extent affected people in the same way, where people ended up staying home with their families more. Some people lost their jobs. Some people didn't have money. And so they had to reevaluate things just on a daily life, not even from a creator standpoint, just how am I going to live, from this tiny amount of money I have to the next time I get the tiny amount of money I have. So I think that those are things that you kind of have to constantly be in flux. And the other thing is if you set pretty lofty goals, maybe you're not meeting them. And now's the time to just reevaluate, are these achievable goals? Are they realistic goals for me to get published, to get whatever? And I think we talked about that in the goal video is, making sure that you're setting an achievable goal, even if it's a low bar. And I honestly believe this is one of my things. I honestly believe if you think you can achieve it by setting a low bar, set the low bar, achieve it, and then raise the bar. Because I think that doing it a gentler, I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but being kinder to yourself about goals and achieving them is going to get you further than if you set this super, super high goal and don't get there by the end of 2021. So now is probably a time for most people just sit down and reevaluate the goals they set and change them. There's nothing saying those things are set in stone. Change them. If they're not working for you, change them. Much like I did. I changed this whole video. I was going to do one on marketing, and here we are talking about, what happens when unexpected events come up and how do you handle them. But I do think that you need to be kind to yourself. So that should probably have been one of my little banner things, like be kind to yourself. I don't have anything else. And like I expected, because I didn't put this out, there's nobody watching this. So people will probably watch it after the fact. So feel free to comment below on YouTube. I'll post it on Facebook as well at a couple of the spots where I normally post things on Facebook. So go ahead and comment my blog, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you see this. And we'll talk about, give me your marketing questions from next month, like things, but I'll talk about where I spent money, whether or not I think it went well. But yeah, the November numbers were so low from what I expected. Just to give you an idea, in November, I made 259, I believe it was, on the steampunk fiction list and I think it was end of November on Amazon. But then when I got my stuff back from book boutiques, I'd only sold 5 books. And so I remember I told Ken, my husband, Ken, I said, I only sold 5 books. And he goes, holy crap, how much did number 1 sell? Because if you were, how much did the top 100 sell? If 5 gets you that, and I'm like, was the niche market so long? So I'm like, well, let's wait till December, because really I ran the, let me think here. I ran the tour from end of November to almost end of December. It was like the 22nd to the 22nd or something like that. So I'm like, maybe December did better. And so then I can look and see, did that blog tour help? Plus I've got, I bought review space somewhere. And so I've got a couple of other things that maybe by the time we get to March will happen. So basically, to give you an idea, in March, we're going to talk about marketing. And then in April, I kind of want to talk about budgets and taxes. Why? Because I think it's important that you guys understand budget and taxes. So I'll show you kind of my tax documents, or like not my tax, but my P&L, my profit and loss statement, for how I manage my money coming in and what it looks like. And so that you kind of have an idea if that's something that you want to do. So it's not exciting, but I think it's important, especially if you are looking at being self-published and you want to really keep track of how you are spending your money. So that's all I have for today. It's just a really quick conversation. I just wanted to touch base with you because we normally touch base on the first Friday of the month. And so I wanted to touch base with you and let you guys know kind of what's going on with me and those sorts of things. So we'll get back to marketing in March, and then we'll talk about budgets and taxes in April. So if you guys have any questions or any other topics you'd like me to talk about, go ahead and put them in the comment section below, and I would love for you to do that. Also, if you could, I would super appreciate some likes, because I don't get very many likes on my videos, but I would love to get some likes or even dislikes. But, if you like it, give it a thumbs up, because that helps the algorithms and helps me move up so you guys can find me next month. So otherwise, next Friday lunch will be March 5th at 11:30. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I don't have a life event that cancels everything. And we'll be talking about marketing. So go ahead and pencil me in for lunch.